Hello and welcome to another Zee and Zed show. My name is Z,
And I am Zed.
and today we're going to talk about CAD and 3D printing and some other
hmm
stuff as well. So stay tuned and welcome on in.
Yeah. So first off, we're gonna do Prince of the Week because let's just get this party started. If you have tuned in on Twitch, which is Twitch, yeah,
Twitch.tv/zombie hedgehog.
let him talk. Um, we've been having fun today. So yeah, so there's some makes, and then we're gonna get into talking about CAD because that's very serious. So first thing up is I did Fatboy 1271's Retro Rose. So we sort of did it like on based on the thing that goes on top of a 45,
Oh yeah,
and so they're a little bit
that's cool.
chunkier than some of the other roses. I have them over there, and I did it in Sparta 3D Prismatic Yellow Pink, which is a gorgeous filament, and it's kind of fun because it fits in with the sort of retro thing. And then the other thing I did, well, I'll show you a couple things, but another thing I did is Ministry of Silly Walk sign. So this is from Monty Python. This turned out
Nice.
really nice, like really clean print. This is in Polyterra white, lava red, and charcoal. And so that's on printables. We'll have the link below. And of course, I got in a nice shipment of Polymaker filament. I got two of the new Starlight colors. And which ones did I get? Mercury and no, what did I get? You
Got
should know.
Neptune and
Neptune,
what's the other one?
Neptune and Mercury, maybe?
No,
No, Little
Mercury's
John, not
the
that color. Anyway,
yeah. Let's see.
I got two of the new colors. So
Mercury and Neptune. Yep.
Neptune, yeah, Mercury and Neptune. So
Yep.
this
Jupiter is
is the
the the
Neptune.
the uh, golden
Yeah.
color.
So yeah. Anyway, it's really pretty filament, and I
Very
did some of
nice.
my butterflies with it. Um, and oh, and I did one of our little Ruxes. So that was fun. And what have you been making, Austin? What have you
All
been
kinds of
working on?
stuff. I'm
All right.
currently just getting back from the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest, so I'm a little bit still unpacking, getting stuff organized, but I got in some cookie CAD filament, and I am very impressed on the printability. So this is the Sunrise color. It's a very short or long transition. So if you're trying to print
Mhm.
off a single
Yeah.
model, I printed off this and it was all yellow. So if you're gonna do something like this, print two of these at once to get a nice smooth gradient. Um, Fortunately, I had a couple of failures, but this is an example of what it could look like if if it transitions. So it's quite nice. It kind of reminds me of like a mixed drink. So
hmm
pretty cool. And oh, this one. Yeah. I love this thing so
Oh, that's
much.
cute.
Yeah, this is the crab over on printables. it's a it's a pretty neat model. So it's actually a pen holder. So if you have a pen or something like this, it holds it. So it's a nice little desk
Fantastic.
companion. If you have your special pen or pencil, you just put it right on here, and it works perfectly nice. This was actually printed on the Rook 2020. I just wanted a model to print out and printed it, and it absolutely phenomenal with the Revo. So this is a pretty cool model.
Oh, I have a question for you. Um, do you have a Swatch truck handy?
No.
Really?
Yes. I got a whole
What
garage
color?
full of them.
Oh,
Green.
green. Can you
Well,
pass
I
it
got
to
other
me?
colors. Sure.
It didn't do
Others.
it right.
Others.
Other side. There we
Here.
go.
Here. Let's try
Here,
it
do you
again.
want this one? Do you want this
Here. Let's
one?
try it again. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Let me grab that for you. Can I have it this way? There you
there.
go. Thank you.
We're magic. That's gonna probably be edited out and I'll put it at the end or something.
And at the
For
end,
streamers.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
All right. So, okay. So you went to the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival
Yes.
and you did everything. This is
Did
something
everything I
I was
could.
saying. Yeah, I was saying to people that you really did take advantage of everything that you could do at a Rep Rap Festival. You built things, you helped people, you met
Chocolate
people,
boats.
you actually ate, you socialized, you did all sorts of things, and yeah, what was your impression of your first major event? Like people know, people didn't quite know who you were, and some people didn't realize who you were until the end. There were all sorts of fun
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. So that was fun. I'm still very new into 3D printing. I just passed my 1 year of owning a printer, about a month ago, and probably about a year of streaming in general, or at least on MakerDeck. So about a year of streaming, and I go by Zombie Hedgehog. Unfortunately, people still don't understand that like me, I'm a human and I like exist. So it was fun going there, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're Zombie Hedgehog. That's interesting," because I'm usually in chats. I'm usually not streaming, and people are watching me. So people like Nero came up to me and were like, "Oh yeah, that's you." So it was fun to meet people and now build a kind of a personal in real life
Hmm.
connection. It's so much different. I was also disguised as the Playmaker employee. I had people like, "Oh, can you tell me more about your filament?" Like, well,
You
although I do own a
probably
lot
know
of
more
it, I
than
don't work
most
for
people.
Playmaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
do.
but you know a lot, so
Yeah,
oh, that's
I
fun.
try to learn as much as I need to. So going to one of these events is great because I get to see all kinds of different technologies, a lot of the different printers that I'm planning on building. It's really cool to see them in person, like the Micron Plus that I'm planning on doing a little bit later in the year, Trident, etc. So very cool to go, and a very, very good experience if you do any type of 3D printing, or if you're getting interested in 3D printing. Find your local Rep Rap Festival. Seriously, it's a lot of fun, and you can hang out for 2 days. So
Yeah, we'll answer questions at the end too, just so people know.
yeah, we'll save comments and answer them at the end. There
Yeah.
we go.
So you did say that you really enjoyed seeing Ellie's chocolate printer, of course, Global Press
Yes.
printer. Was there anything else that sort of like jumped out at you and that you didn't realize that would be part of the experience?
Uh, I think the random talks that I had with people, those are the most interesting ones. I had a conversation with the folks at DFH. We were talking about one of the projects they're working on, and talking about filaments, etc. And I just started talking. So I went into the booth, and they were talking to me like I was just a typical person. But then we started talking about the different projects we're working on and different things, and the fact that I don't actually work for Polymaker, but I help them. I think that was the most interesting thing for people,
Hmm.
is me helping out, but not actually helping out, but still being able to answer like business questions. It's very strange. I'm still getting used to it, but
Yeah.
it's nice because I was able to introduce myself as kind of Polymaker, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped out in order to talk to people.
Yeah. And so there are thoughts, there are things sort of going on in the background for actually both of us to help out Polymaker and do some representation at the Midwest Rap Rap Festival. That is the 23rd to the 25th of June, and that is in Goshen, Indiana. Yeah, Indiana.
AKA middle of nowhere, Indiana.
Or is it India? Yeah, I think I got it right this time. Anyway,
Yeah, one of the I
it's in
states.
Goshen, and yeah, it's in the middle of Amish country, but there's a lot of stuff there. But if you are interested in going, I would suggest that you um, book your hotel and get that stuff done now. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway,
So a lot of
that's
fun.
yeah.
I don't think I showed this off yet, but let's see. So This was a special spool given to me, imported from Australia. This is kind of neat. So I think right now there's only 5 of these in the US. This is the 3D Print Solutions custom 10-year anniversary color of PLA Pro, which is a metallic red PLA. It looks really good, actually. It's a really nice color. And very happy that Bob from California was able to bring this to me, and I was able to bring it home on the flight.
Yeah,
And
that was
TSA did
through
not stop
Brixie.
me. Yes.
Yeah, and Brixie got it from Australia. Brixie is a friend of ours from MakerDeck, so that's pretty cool.
So I'll print it when I need a metallic red and make some cool projects with it.
Yeah, and someone just mentioned in chat, Polymaker actually is continuously restocking stuff in Canada. Last week on their live stream, they stocked a bunch of stuff. So keep your eye on that.
Yeah.
And
for both the US and Canada, there's a major restock for Polymaker, so keep your eye out.
Yeah. Oh, I failed to mention that this weekend I also received a parcel in the mail, and I got some more gloop. So I'm
nice.
I'm going to continue working on my
nice.
Well, this is mine from Earth, but yes, I got some more. I got some more gloop, and if you want to save on gloop, you can use code MakerDeck and save 15%. So anyway, that's just
awesome.
That's just something to mention. Yeah, so let's get on with today's topic.
Yeah,
I think we've got a lot of stuff going on, and
definitely.
So let's talk about designing in CAD. What I guess I could start it with my experience.
So what is CAD? Yeah, let's break it down CAD for anyone who doesn't really know. What are 3D models? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a 3D model designed in a computer-assisted drafting. I think that's what CAD stands for. But essentially, it's a way of making 3D models on your computer, and then you can export them to an STL file or a 3MF file or a step file, and import that into your slicer, and then it takes that 3-dimensional model and slices it to print. So all models usually start as a 3D model. And you have to make them. They don't just magically exist. So there's a lot of people that spend their whole entire life training and getting proficient with 3D CAD software, or even 2D CAD software, all kinds of CAD softwares. So what is your experience with CAD?
Okay, well, I think for me, when I started 3D printing, I was trying to figure out how to make models that I had, existing models I had, make them better.
Computer aided
design. Actually have, I have a prime example right here. So I found this model of a tulip. I thought it was cute, but it's this little stubby thing. And then it went missing. The file, like everything went missing from the origin for whatever website it was from. And especially when you first start 3D printing, you download something, you don't remember where you got it from. But anyway, it went missing. But I had this file. So I was playing around in my slicer, and I was able to make the model look like this. And I thought, oh, this is cool. You know, I modified the model. And then when it came time for someone saw me printing it on MakerDeck at this size, to make it a bigger model, they said, oh, where's the file? And I couldn't find it anywhere. So I decided to pull it into, instead of just being in the slicer where I had, obviously made it a little bit narrower and whatever else, I pulled it into Tinkercad and modified it, and was able to upload it as a remix of some models that I found. But my very first experience in Tinkercad was this past holiday season. And I I find sometimes, I guess, I don't know about other people, but if you're having like a stressful time, I find learning something new or redirecting your energy towards something new is very helpful. And so what I ended up doing is getting some help learning things in Tinkercad. And so from my experience, I'm looking for the first model that I made. Anyway, pro streamer here. Yeah, so I was able to bring some shapes in and make a basic. The first thing I did was a very basic star ornament. So it was a star with a heart in the middle, and then a little border. So I learned how to do all those basic movements in Tinkercad. And then after I had that model finished, I thought I want to do a little bit more. And so I had some help. Again, I said I was using Tinkercad. So in Tinkercad, you can use Classroom. And that means that two people can work on something at the same time. And what happened was when I was being taught, instead of doing something for me, they would say, stop. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're trying to do? And so I learned how to do things layered and make, so I could do, I love my color swaps, but with enough, thickness between the layers and everything. And so I had my star, which is somewhere, but but of course, since I love color swaps, I have moved on to doing things like I modified this butterfly model and added some more features to it and everything. Oh, there's my star. Yeah, so it had like sort of a snowflake background and a bit of a poinsettia points behind the heart. So you could do 4 or 5 swaps for that.
Yeah.
And so I do mostly most of the stuff that I do is fairly basic because I'm still learning. But I've done my hearts, and I also this is everything that I've designed. I also did the vase container that can hold a lot of 3D printed flowers, and I've done that with hearts embossed on it, or of course just a basic one where I encourage people to do color swaps. This does look like a copper tone battery, but
I like it.
Anyway, I'm still learning, but right now I still am in Tinkercad. So that is where I'm comfortable. I'm interested in looking at other software. And I guess the other part of my story is I have found I've found models and either modified them in the slicer, as I mentioned, or I've had people modify the models in Tinkercad or whatever. So it's very useful.
So did you have any experience with any type of CAD at any time before? So you just jumped right into your slicer and Tinkercad and just went for it?
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for me was understanding what a 3D model is made out of. And the best way to learn that, the best way to learn that is to actually pull things into the slicer and go through layer by layer by layer. In Prusa Slicer, I do have myself on, I think, on expert mode, and that gives you a lot more warnings and things like that. And so I started to understand what was involved in 3D printing, that it's not just, the basic where people say it's like a glue gun, and it's just, I learned about using different infill and how many layers to use and how all that works. Now,
yeah, all right.
You have a bit of a different background because
very
yeah.
Wow. Where does it begin? Back in middle school, we had art class, and as part of it, we had to use Google SketchUp to design stuff for art class, form of digital art. So I learned CAD a long time ago. Given I wasn't that proficient, but since I had the experience to have the Google SketchUp on my computer, I would actually go home. I completely measured out every single piece of furniture in my room. I modeled it kind of in a crude 3D model. Now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it now, it could have been done so much easier. But I was able to take stuff and drag it around, and I rearranged my room in three-dimensional space. And when I went to do it, it's really satisfying that everything kind of fits perfectly. I was even able to see, okay, if I rotated my bed, how can I rotate it and like not have to move this piece of furniture or etc. So that was a really good experience, and I'm very happy that my school had that because that, I mean, that really got me into at least the mindset of 3D modeling. So I took a little bit of a break from that. I didn't really need it, and then I got into AutoCAD. So as an electrical engineer, I have to learn how to do drawings, professional drawings. So I have to be able to manipulate a 2D space. So I learned a lot of 2D drafting, and I did that for a bit. I learned that AutoCAD has a three-dimensional function. It
Mm-hmm.
works. I designed my whole entire house in it because that's the software I had. I would not recommend doing that. It's a bit of a nightmare, but it does work. So I made a three-dimensional sketch of my house, and I was able to do different design stuff, figure out furniture layout, etc. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had
Uh,
help. I had help setting up my this apartment actually
that's
using
true. Yeah.
Tinkercad. So yeah, it was
So a
great.
lot of the drafting I do in 3D is for functional stuff, for laying out
Hmm.
things. But then I found out about Fusion 360 when I started doing 3D
Okay.
printing. And then I slowly started to make designs in that. But before that, I actually used Tinkercad to make my first 3D model. So it's on my printables. It has like 5 downloads, but it's a sign that says herb, just like
Yes.
herb down the side. Because back in middle school, I made a sign in woodworking that said the same thing, and I was like, you know what? I want to replicate that because my mom said, okay, it's nice, but it is kind of falling apart. So I was able to design it in Tinkercad, go through a few iterations, and then print it in. I think it was my first experience with Polymaker ASA, and
Hmm.
now it's sitting outside. It's a nice little
And you
sign that
printed.
says
Yeah,
herb. Yeah,
you printed that on MakerDeck. I
I
remember
printed it on
that
MakerDeck. Yes, I did.
because I thought it
That
was
was
illegal, like an illegal substance that you were.
yes, no, the good old garden herbs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that was my first
then,
model, and
what was
then
your next model?
my next model was, oh man, I had to think about it because I don't I don't remember the full timeline.
Hmm.
But I used Fusion 360. I made some mods for my printer. That's right. I did a couple of like printer mods.
Hmm.
My BQBX, which is sitting around somewhere in the other room, I had to essentially rebuild it. I got it for really cheap on eBay. It needs some work. I wanted to put linear rails on it, and nothing was perfectly compatible. So I was able to make different parts, like a whole entire bed assembly that converted the existing mount for the bed and give it linear rail mounts, as well as a little uh, belt attachment thingy. So I did that all in Fusion 360, but I had a very bad experience with it because for whatever reason, the software would keep crashing on me. I didn't save enough, and I lost so much work on it. So I just kind of stopped using it. Then I found out about Onshape. Onshape has been, honestly, a lot of fun for me, and it's kind of my go-to CAD software right now. Now, I don't
Hmm.
pay for it, so all my models are available for free online. You can find them in one way or another, but even then, it's really nice for me because I just make models for my hobby, for 3D printing, or show
Hmm.
basic tutorials on it, etc. So I don't need a premium software. Although Onshape is a very premium software, and paying for it is way out of my league. So I'm hoping that they make
Okay.
a like a more of a hobbyist version of it where, similar to other softwares, you're limited in how much money you can make with it, but it
Mhm.
allows you to actually use the software and license it. But I don't think they're interested in that market. Um,
I think we might end up seeing some changes though, as there's more consumer 3D
yes,
printers.
there's a
There's
lot of demand for
more of
making
us
models.
hobbyists that are, yeah, and
Yeah,
more interested in doing things. Yeah,
so
so there's lots of different types of CAD software. All of them have benefits and drawbacks.
yeah.
As I mentioned, yeah. So
Like the
then the
swatch
next,
truck.
yeah, I have
This
that
is my
too.
first like real 3D model where it needed to be a very specific way. I played around. This is a parametric design, so I can go in and change a different variable on one of the different features, and it would go through the whole entire model and change different dimensions, etc. So parametric design, it's a little bit of weirdness to get used to, but it allows you to do really cool things. Like I have this whole sketch, but oh man, I actually want to make it 10 millimeters longer. Instead of
Hmm.
having to just edit the design, I can go all the way back to when I started and just edit it at the beginning, and then go all the way back to the end, and now it's fixed. It's a little more complicated than that, but parametric design allows you to do easy revisions. Let's see.
We can trade. We can trade
Thank you.
there.
Thank you. This one's
Thanks.
better.
Yeah, we're smooth. We're so proud of
Oh
ourselves.
yeah.
So yeah, so there's all different softwares. I know there's a lot of people that use and a lot of them are online based, correct?
They have some type of online presence. So
Mm-hmm.
Fusion 360, I believe, stores files in their cloud, but you only get so many with the free version, and it does all the computation locally. Onshape stores all the files on the cloud
Mm-hmm.
and does computation remotely, so you can be running it on your phone. In fact, I really like having Onshape on my phone. It's been the most useful thing because I'll have, like, I did my whole entire garden bed in Onshape.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to go to the store and
Oh
be like, oh
wow.
man, I forgot like how long a board needed to be or how many I needed. I can go into the software and count. You can't do that with many other CAD softwares. So that's again, there's a lot of benefits to Onshape, and I wish it
Mm-hmm.
would catch on a little bit more, or they would allow for better licensing. Maybe we'll talk to them eventually.
I forgot.
Uh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
we have done other models. So
Yes.
another model that I made or I got help in making because this was a collaboration. It's on my printables account, but it was definitely a collaboration. This was the the K2 zombie Pezliz, essentially the Swatch truck Christmas ornament as I dropped it, and this was really fun to do. And we took the Swatch truck into the software and into Tinkercad, and we expanded it and then added all the different features. And this was a really fun one because we had to play around with things. And are you looking for your outrun?
Yeah, it's kind of um,
I
it's
have one
here.
here. Oh, you have it there. Oh, it's
Yeah,
busy. Okay,
it's very
good.
busy. Yeah. So this is
So,
my Outrun sorting tray. This actually is my second tray design. This is the one I ended up
hmm
publishing. But this is more of an aesthetic model, although it is very functional. I quite like it for having a bunch of little things that need to be sorted. It actually
yeah,
works
mine's
pretty
on my
good.
wall.
Very useful. I'll make a magnet version. We could put stuff like screws on it.
That
But
would be
yeah, I
fun.
designed
We could
this
do that.
in Onshape very easily, just with a bunch of
Hmm.
different sketches. This was actually a really good way to use parametric design because I had to play around with the angles for all of these lines. I essentially have a sketch where each one of these is a different angle, and I played around with how the spacing of them, the angle, etc., until I found something I was happy with. So that was a pretty fun project, and I did not win this contest, but I did win the swatch competition. So
Yes, you
this
did.
did win.
You did.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And you, yeah, I think that it's really neat the way that uh, us hobbyists are being challenged to come up with new designs with things like the contests on printables and with things. And you know, there's other places too that'll have design contests, and it's a good way to stretch your mind and yeah, go from there. And then there's
Yeah.
always things where you know, where someone when there's sort of something that comes up that's like we need a logo, or we have this logo and we want to make it into a three, you know, into a 3D design. So that's where we have things like the MakerDeck logo and coasters. We had lots of people in MakerDeck create things. This is, you know, these are the ones by Kevin. But lots of people got involved in that, and yeah, I think it's a great way to feel the need to learn, aside from being like doing something where you're completely geeking out. And we have lots of people that do design in the greater community, including Fixin' Dude, who's in chat, and he has some of my favorite models. So you know, and he's self-taught. He did do design for school, but yeah, it's really neat. I think that all the different things that are out there.
So something really neat is 3D printers. So a really
Yeah.
fun project to do with 3D modeling is designing your own 3D printer. This is the Rook. This is a MK1 with actually a bunch of modded parts on it. So Gulsifer went and completely redesigned the whole entire gantry with some minor revisions. I think from scratch too. Made the Rookery tool head, which is this right here in CAD. Canrog fixed the bed. So all kinds of CAD design went into this. I actually made these side panels. Those are mine.
Mm-hmm.
Those are on printables for this size build.
Nice.
So nothing fun because you can take an existing design and kind of improve upon it. Be like, huh, I wish there was a way of fixing this thing. For example, on the swivel, it really needs the two z-axes connected via belt. So I have this big belt going across, and I need to redesign this one part over here to add a belt tensioner. So I'm going to be working with Gulsifer to design a custom part for the 3D printer to upgrade it, to improve it. So the summer tool head goes, yeah, I know that printer needs a little bit of work.
Yeah. So you've worked with that. There are lots of other types of programs that you can use for doing design. Um, Obviously, we talked about Tinkercad and Onshape. A lot of people use Fusion 360, AutoCAD. There's JS Sketcher. So what's this
So
one?
JSketcher is
J
a
Sketcher. Sorry.
yeah, JSketcher is a newer online based CAD design, which I'm going to be trying out a little bit more heavily. But it's an online based parametric CAD software that
Mm-hmm.
I'll post the link in chat. But this is all locally run. So it fetches
Okay.
the software and the programming, but it runs in your browser. It uses the
Mm-hmm.
local browser cache to save your files. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, and you do have to do the rendering on your computer. So as that progresses, as it advances, that could be a direct replacement for Onshape.
All
You
right.
can't do well, I think it has a cloud function. Haven't looked too much into that, but it's exactly what I need. I need a local based, or at least like something that I can use my browser, or you can download an app for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Parametric, or that style where I can go back in the timeline and make edits, or make a parametric variable to affect the whole entire model. But I really like JSketcher
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't have any licensing restrictions. So I can take that software, which is free to use, and sell models designed in it. I believe they have some type of minor agreement where you should probably pay them, but it's more of a donation-based thing versus a
All right.
requirement. So I love that style, and I'll definitely be switching a little bit more over to Autodrop's J Sketcher as I progress in my modeling career.
All right. There's also Blender.
Blender, I don't use. A lot of people like Blender. I think Nick from Polymaker uses Blender to make his little models like the hedgehog. This was made in Blender, I believe. Yeah.
And then there's FreeCAD.
It's FreeCAD. I've not really used that because it's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's just not my style of CAD software. But it could be perfect for you. So all of these have different ways of interacting and different ways of using them.
Yeah.
Even different ways of moving them around the camera. So one
Yeah,
might work
and we'll be
better for you.
linking. Yeah, we might not necessarily have experience with them, but we can certainly link some information. Mesh Mixer is another one.
Yep, that's another one. Have not used that.
SolidWorks, ZBrush or ZBrush. I know a lot of the I know that a lot of the model designers, like I think Wexter uses. He uses
most organic designs are in ZBrush.
ZBrush, and a lot of them use Fusion. So it depends on what your level of experience is, how much detail you want, all of those sorts of things. So
and what types of models you're trying to make. If I'm just making organic shapes, I might go for something like ZBrush. If I'm making strictly boxes, or like what I'm currently working on, I'm building a chair. So these are just very simple functional parts that are designed in Onshape, and they go together. These are going to be glooped all together once I'm done with the design. And then it's going to be a chair. So awesome. Stuff you can just randomly do because I had an idea and I wanted to make it. So I did because I had CAD.
Yeah. And like I said, even if you're not sure, if it's something that you really want, like if you want to get into something or really dive into it, just play in your slicer, adjust your model in your slicer. And I think that gives you a better understanding of at least how to begin. So there's a lot of people actually that, like I said, they've been using the challenges, the contests and stuff to learn. And there's a lot of stuff that's free. And then once you get into whatever your style is, so also for saying not all CAD is the same. I think you'll sort out. There's a lot of free trial periods. There's a lot of software that you can you can try out and go from there. But certainly the world is your oyster.
The slicer, and I think if you're just getting started with 3D modeling designs, you can take any design. So let's say I wanted to take the dinosaur, right? And pretend this is not a failed print, and I wanted to cut off the top section. I can do that in the slicer, and now I have a little succulent planter.
Yep.
Totally intentional, completely intentional, by the way. Definitely not a failed print. So you can do stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or let's say this was a succulent planter and there's no holes. I can drop in some cylinders in here as holes in the slicer. There you go. Now I have drainage holes. So there's a lot of little things you can do inside the slicer to add stuff to your model, to remove stuff from a model. And it's not the easiest thing to do all the time, but it's definitely a way of doing it without having to use external CAD software.
Yeah. And I do lots of things like I enter, color swaps in the G code, or I even adjust for a model like this. The original size of this model, I believe, is standard coaster size. So it's supposed to be this size. go big or go home, right? So
Yeah.
when you size this up, you might not want it to be the maximum thickness. So then you, of course, you adjust those sorts of things, and that's something that you can do easily in your slicer. Or if you want it, something like this sign, if you wanted it to be a little more durable for where it's going to go, then you would make those adjustments in your slicer.
Yeah.
Or you could pull
Just
it into
stretching
you could pull it
things.
into a CAD software. But
Stretching
yeah.
things is very easy to do. Trying to think of some stuff that I edited. Sometimes the proportions just don't look right in the model. Like maybe the designer had kind of something that you felt could be taller, or maybe more stubby, or maybe would print better if it was in a different orientation. So you can mess around with the scaling for different axes and see what
Hmm.
works for you.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all we were saying is that at least for beginners, we are both beginners when it comes to 3D printing. Um, the
Get this
world is your
restart.
oyster, and yeah, you
Yeah.
are challenging yourself. So tell us about the yes, your newest design project,
Well,
which I have
one of the newest because I got the chair, but
somewhere nearby. Oh,
this is
it's right in front of
just
me.
a swatch holder, but
Mm-hmm.
specifically for my swatch trucks, and it looks kind of like a garage of sorts, kind of like a parking garage, or I don't know, some type of architecture thing. Even has a roof that you can print out. This is a design that I'm still. I'll probably just release it. I'm happy enough with the current version. I wanted to make sure that it was printable with these large overhangs. It is. It's
Mm-hmm.
printable.
Yeah.
And this is the Gridfinity compatible. So this was a project where I had to incorporate Gridfinity, which is Zach
Mm-hmm.
Friedman's design, and my swatches, and make it stackable for Gridfinity. So that was
Yeah.
a fun project. Actually, I have a signed version by Zach
Oh, neat.
from Rocky Mountain.
And you know that your big truck fits in the garage too.
Oh my god.
I
All
made
mine
it
are
work.
packed up because it's a Christmas model.
Yes. Well, I have that one out on display all the time. So
I think you can you can fit a forklift in it too. That works. Do a little
yeah,
mini
and
forklift.
that's the other thing about something like Gridfinity, where if you have a base to work from, it yes, if you have a base to work from, uh, that allows you to make those adjustments and do things that suit you. For example, I am going to go grab something based on Gridfinity.
Okay.
Uh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'll grab a couple things actually while we're at
I
it.
think an example of something like Gridfinity are Steve builds. He has his hex trays, which he did not design, but he remixed. He made it a specific version that worked best for him, which is sorting out boron parts. So this is a remix of a model that now is his model, but it's not quite his.
Yeah.
But he edited it to make it what he wanted.
As we say on Zee and Zed, we have our in-house designer. And so one of those people is K2 Kevin. And he actually modified this battery holder because it fits the batteries better for Gridfinity. And he also I came up with the name sanitation station. So it's the cotton wipes and also, cotton swabs that you would use. But it fits on the Gridfinity because you want that near your printer for doing all the stuff that you need to do. This is just another Gridfinity, which wasn't modified, but the cable holder. But I'm really enjoying staying organized with all my stuff. Yes, and this was a Chemnerd model remix, and he added the surrounding Q-tip holder, and the other one was
Nice
curved, so
design.
he did a different, he did a little bit
Yeah.
different, and that's the other thing. Yeah, you can remix models to suit your need. So
Some models.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
remix. Oh man, it's complicated because I think you can remix most models, but you can't publish remixed models.
yeah, yeah. So then you yeah, there's some things that are just for you, or just for your specific need. For
Yeah.
example, actually, this this monitor stand is actually made specifically for my monitor. The exact dimensions and stuff. So that might not be something that you would publish in that case. So
Yeah, a lot of
yeah.
stuff like I make adapters for random things, and it's like, do I publish this? I have some EVA 3 parts that I needed for very specific things. I have a adapter for it's a Triangle Labs STD6 to Kingroon KP5L. Like, no one else in the world is ever going to have that part or need it. And if they do,
Hmm.
they have bigger issues, but like that's a model that I just use and I wouldn't publish
Yeah. And
because
so
I
then,
didn't really
yeah, so
finish
then
it.
you decide, yeah, is it something that I want to share with the world? Um, and that's kind of how you make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the other thing I totally forgot to mention, something
Mhm.
that I've been working on, is streaming.
Streaming.
Yeah, I have been streaming on my
You
own.
have. Where?
Yeah, so on twitch.tv/Pesliz. And it started out, this is another thing where I was like, I wanted to learn something. So in this case, it was OBS, and I started streaming just to test out all the OBS functions, and then people were watching. So I have started streaming. I don't quite have a schedule, but I'll be able to do things. During the day, I'm often watching MakerDeck, so I have to sort of make sure that all
What
balances
is
out.
MakerDeck?
Exactly. And you have offered to join me every once in a while too. So
Yeah, well, when I
we
can.
may see
Yeah.
some impromptu Zee and Zed segments at least. We might
Yeah.
end up doing things that end up being shorts on YouTube, or little segments. So definitely stay tuned. Yeah, it might be Zed and Z. As Fixanute
Oh, I
says.
don't like that. I don't like
So
that. Well, if you want
we'll
to
see.
catch
We'll see.
the Z and Zed show live, this is on twitch.tv/zombiehedgehog. I
Hmm.
also stream very regularly,
Yes.
either on this channel or on Polymaker's channel. I
Hmm.
vice versa, whatever suits it. But I've been streaming a little bit more on YouTube as well. I have a channel called Hedgehog Makes. I mainly
Yes.
do like series based things. Like I'll be building the Bugaboo printer on there very
Hmm.
shortly. I have all my extrusions cut. I have pretty much all the parts printed. So I'll be starting a series on there.
Yeah. So I think that's everything for
It's
this
a wrap.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I hope you've learned something. We will link in the description below for the YouTube friends, all the different websites and programs and everything that we mentioned. So the Tinkercads and the Blenders and the SolidWorks and the J Sketchers, all of that will be linked for you to have as a resource. And certainly in the comments, talk about what you use, and how CAD has helped you in your 3D printing experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was a fun show. If you have any questions about what was discussed in the episode, feel free to leave a comment down below.
Mm-hmm.
If you have suggestions for future episodes, if there's a specific topic you want to see, maybe you want a deep dive into Clipper, Marlin, etc., I don't know. We could do a lot of things. And we are not experts at any topic. So we might have episodes where I might know a little bit more than Liz. Liz might know a lot more than me in some of them, vice versa. So feel free to suggest any topics. I think just having the conversation creates some pretty fun streams. So,
Yeah.
and again, if you want to catch these live, they're recorded live. So there's usually a pre-stream party and an after party. So make sure to check those out.
All right. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Thank you so much. Keep making, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye. Pro streamers. Designing. You don't put the actual like thing in here, so it's hard. Whatever. Muting.
Mhm.